How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today, guess what? We're still continuing with our teams to, use for a Madden 20 realistic connected franchise rebuild thingy. Listen, the title is, in the video. The title for the video is there. I can't really remember what it is. Just know that I have the title in the video. So yeah, if I forget it while I'm recording, I'm sorry. That's just, how it goes sometimes. But we are going to be, picking another team for this. We're basically halfway done. I try to pick 8 teams every year for this. So this is going to be interesting. So let's just review all the teams that we've gone through, shall we? We have gone through the Cincinnati Bengals. Check. We've gone through the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Check. We've gone through the Arizona Cardinals. Check. And we just concluded with the Miami Dolphins. Now, this next team, let's just go on ahead and get into it, man. The New York Giants, pretty easy one right here. I mean, like I said, these aren't my rosters, so you see some ratings you don't like, don't be mad at me. Didn't make these rosters. But let's get right into the quarterback position. Yeah, here's an example of a rating I don't like. So, like I said, not my rosters, but you have Eli Manning here, who, I'm going to be honest, man, no disrespect to Eli Manning, he should have retired like 2 seasons ago. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. He's not as terrible as people make him out to be. Like, I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the league. I think you can do worse. Eli was actually top 10 in some key categories last year. Granted, that's stat watching. But if you watch the games, towards the end of the season, he actually did look pretty good against teams like the Bears and the Cowboys, teams with really good defenses. Eli Manning actually fared pretty well. So, say what you want, but Eli wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. And then you have rookie Daniel Jones selected with the number 6th overall pick. In my opinion, a reach, considering you still had Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock all on the board. And, I had him grouped in with Ryan Finley. I explained that in the Bengals video. That's just when I do these comparisons, or not comparisons, but when I rank positions prior to the draft process, this isn't me projecting their careers. This is me projecting the prospects. This is me saying that right now, coming in, this prospect is better than this prospect. That doesn't mean Daniel Jones won't go on to be successful. That doesn't mean Daniel Jones won't be more successful than some of the guys I have ahead of him. This is just me ranking the prospects based on how they did in college, where their, range is, in my opinion, to be drafted. Tape. I mean, that's just how it goes. So, in my opinion, Daniel Jones tied for 4th at the quarterback position. And you could even argue tied for 5th, because you also have Will Grier as well. So, there's that little rant. And then Kyle Lauletta, they drafted last year. Everyone was saying the Giants should have drafted a quarterback last year. They did. In like the 4th round. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, he was decent, coming out. He had a little off-the-field issue. It looks like that's gotten fixed, but I don't know if he'll ever have a chance. It seems like it's unlikely. Then we get to the running back room. I mean, what can we not say about Saquon Barkley? The man's a beast. He's never missed a leg day in his life. I mean, if you've seen Saquon play, I mean, he is just built. And that, his lower half, and I'm not trying to sound homophobic or anything, but that dude is just jacked. Has a nice base. The legs, man, they're big. They're big. The dude's just a freak of nature. Hard to bring down. Great balance. And at Penn State, he was a beast. He comes to the NFL, yeah, a little bit of a slow start. He did have like a big run in like every game that ended up being a touchdown, but really outside of that, a couple of 2-yard carries. But then we saw as the season progressed, so did his play, and he ended up having a lot of receptions out of the backfield. 2,000 total scrimmage yards, or total yards in terms of rushing and receiving. So, I mean, the dude's just a beast, and he is definitely one of the best running backs we have in the NFL. And I know people are going to be like, oh, it's only been 1 year, it's too early, and, now you're just contradicting yourself. Yeah, I am a little bit, but the thing is with running backs, you can kind of tell after the first like 2 seasons. Saquon definitely proved it in his first year. That's why if you see a running back like Rashad Penny, who was also a first-round pick, guess what? He didn't have a great rookie season. He could definitely come into this season, year 2, and kick ass. So that's why for like Rashad Penny, yeah, you can say there's still like, time will tell. But with Saquon, he's been playing like a beast. We kind of already know. Wayne Gallman, a decent receiving back, nothing too crazy. Rod Smith, I think he played with the Cowboys. And then Dalton Crossan, he's a special teams guy. Fullback, yeah, they actually do have one, Elijah Penny. Good to see that they have a fullback. The wide receiver room, so one of the reasons why I would consider the New York Giants for a rebuild. Number 1, the whole Daniel Jones situation. Number 2, life without Odell Beckham Jr. There's a storyline for you. And I'm disappointed in myself because I haven't really mentioned a storyline for every team. I think I'm going to do that for the back half. But, the storyline here is life without Odell Beckham. You traded him for basically the 17th overall pick, which we'll show you in a second. And Jabril Peppers, and then they also got like a 3rd-round pick and Kevin Zeitler for Olivier Vernon. So they got like a good haul. The problem is I don't really think they made the most of their haul, but we'll get into that later. So you have Golden Tate, who's on a 4-year contract, entering his age 31 season. So basically when his contract's over, he'll be 35 years old. That is crazy. That is wild. And then you have Sterling Shepard, who I think is eligible for a contract extension sometime pretty soon. Might be this season. Might need a new contract. So that's something you'll have to do immediately, is get Sterling Shepard a new contract. And then for your wide receiver 3, it could be anyone, man. Benny Fowler, it seems like, might be the favorite according to Madden. You also have Corey Coleman, who, when he was a rookie, was projected to be a beast. Hasn't reached those levels yet. Cody Latimer, pretty solid throughout his career. Nothing too special. And then Darius Slayton, just a fast receiver from Auburn. We'll see what he can do for the Giants at camp and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, this wide receiver room is definitely interesting. Life after Odell Beckham is going to be a challenge. And then here at tight end, there's really like 2 guys to talk about. You have Evan Ingram, who's basically a glorified wide receiver playing tight end. Not a good blocker. Has a drop issue, but he's a freakish athletic tight end. He's a mismatch, and if he can fix some of the little things like the drops, he'll definitely be a beast. And then Rhett Ellison, who is more of a blocking tight end, but extremely overpaid. And then I don't really know much about these 2 guys, but then you have your long snapper right here, Zach Diossi. Now we get to the offensive line. Nate Solder, I should say, excuse me. Of course, a long-time New England Patriot. He was good there. Not really that good for the Giants. I think they should try to get their money back or just get a different tackle altogether. In my opinion, Nate Solder's not really that good, and it definitely showed last season, but you could do worse at the left tackle position, as you have gradually seen throughout all the teams that I showed you. You could definitely do worse than Nate Solder. Nick Gates, I don't know a whole lot about, not going to comment. At left guard, this team did take Will Hernandez in the 2nd round. I thought it was a great pick. I thought he should have been a late 1st rounder last season. Goes early 2nd. Don't really hate it. It's a great pick. He's a really good run blocker. Of course, you could tell about the strength. He did have a lot of reps, of course, when he was doing the bench pressing. And he moves around pretty well, but he's got a little bit of development to do because he did miss easy blocking assignments last year. He really doesn't identify blitzes that well. We definitely saw that early on in the season, and they kind of took advantage of him, but I definitely think he'll be better next year. And then Evan Brown, still an unproven commodity. We'll have to wait and see what he can do. And then at center, it's anybody's guess. You have John Jalapeno and then Spencer Pulley to see who will be the starting center. I think John Jalapeno on a stick will be the starting center. John Jalapeno. Yeah, there we go. And then, yeah, Spencer Pulley. You know, it's good competition, I guess, but nobody you really like. And then Anthony Fabiano, I don't really know much about. Not going to comment. And then at right guard, you do have one of the better guards in football. And I know I said that about Ali Marpet, I'm pretty sure, in the Tampa Bay video. But Kevin Zeitler is one of the better right guards in the NFL. Of course, you have Zach Martin, David DeCastro. You do have some really good right guards, you know, in particular Brandon Brooks as well is another name I forgot to mention. But Kevin Zeitler is pretty good. He's been very consistent throughout his career. And this is a guy who's going to come to the Giants and make their offensive line that much better. You know, I will say this about the Giants. They do have good guards, you know, but the tackle is a little questionable. We'll get to the other tackles later. You have Casey Dunn and Jessamine Dunker. I don't really know much about either one of those guys. Just going to keep it real with you. And then we get the right tackle. You have Mike Rimmers, another old dude who is going to try to play tackle. Believe he started his career in Carolina. Last year he did play for the Minnesota Vikings as a right guard because they didn't think he could play right tackle. The Giants are like, nah fam, you're going to play tackle and you're going to play for us. We'll see how that one works. Chad Wheeler, one of the worst starting offensive linemen last year. I don't really think I need to go into depth there. George Asafo Ajay from Kentucky. I mean, he's a project player, you know, a late round draft pick for them. And then Brian, I don't really know a whole lot about, so I'm not going to comment. Now we get to this defense. So with the 17th overall pick, they selected Dexter Lawrence. And in my opinion, I think Dexter Lawrence is a really good player. I just think he was overdrafted, especially by a team who, you know, they traded the best run-stopping nose tackle for a 5th-round pick. So they're just overvalued by... They overvalued the defensive line position and the 3-4 because obviously they didn't care about Snacks Harrison, who was the best at what he does. And then they go draft basically the same player but a better athlete at pick 17. I mean, that's just wild. Of course, I thought Dexter Lawrence should have gone in the 1st round. I just thought he should have went a little later. I actually had him mocked to the Tennessee Titans, which is only 2 picks later. But, you know, unlike the Giants could have used a lot more stuff. Tennessee, it would have made a lot more sense for because, you know, they have some guys on that side that are a little bit older, and this would be like an investment pick. Whereas for the Giants, if they're strong anywhere, it's on the defensive line. But whatever, what do I know? I'm not a general manager. And you have R.J. McIntosh, who he's decent. I mean, he did look decent at times last year. And then Levon Hooks, I don't really know much about. Then at right end, we have B.J. Hill, who played pretty well last season for the New York Giants. And then Christian Sokoli, I don't know much about. I'm just going to be honest. And then at defensive tackle, you did have Davlin Tomlinson. Pretty underrated, in my opinion. I hate to really use the term underrated, but he is. I don't think he gets enough, you know, attention for what he does on the football field because he's a really good player. And you have Olsen Pierre, who has been pretty solid throughout his career. Chris Slayton from Syracuse, a late-round draft pick rookie. We'll see if he'll have any impact in this room. Then you also have Greg Milhouse and Luis Trinsa Passat. I don't know much about either guy, so no comment. And then at your pass rushing position, it's pretty much wide the hell open. I mean, I don't really know who's going to emerge. I don't know who's going to step up, go to the next level and beyond. But you have Marcus Golden, who he's been pretty solid for the Arizona Cardinals. He had like one really good year, and then he kind of fizzled out. And now he's here with the Giants on a 1-year deal. And this team did draft Ozane Ximenez with their 3rd-round pick that they got from the Cleveland Browns. More of a project player, but I think, you know, there is some upside there with him. Very productive at Old Dominion, and definitely a lot of room to grow. And then you have Ukeem Iligwe from Georgia Southern. We'll see if he can take that next step. He's got 2 years under his belt with the team, and we'll see what he can do. See if he ends up emerging. You never really know. And middle linebacker, not really a big fan of this middle linebacking core. But you have B.J. Goodson, who, you know, he's okay. Alec Ogletree, I think... I I don't know. This is weird because yeah, he had 5 interceptions last year, but you know, you really have to take a look at how players get those interceptions. You know, I think that stuff really matters of how they get the interception. You can't just look at interceptions and be like, "Oh my God, he got 5 interceptions." I think you have to see how they got the picks. That's just how I look at it. Ryan Connolly from Wisconsin, he could emerge out of this room as like a top dog, and then Tay Davis, more of a special teamer, but I mean, he could be worse, I guess. And then right here at the right outside linebacker position, we have Lorenzo Carter from Georgia, just a really great athlete. And I think he should be able to further develop his game a little bit more. You have Kareem Martin, who was the starter last season. I think, you know, definitely there's going to be good competition. I expect him to probably split reps. And then you have Rashard Clyott and Jordan Williams. I don't know much about, so I'm not going to comment. And then the cornerback room, a pretty interesting cornerback room. I'm not going to lie. Similar to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know, they have some guys that are just unproven. But unlike the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have Janoris Jenkins, who, you know, he's a veteran. He's definitely slowing down. It's just that point in his career, but, you know, still a pretty solid player at age 30 entering the year. And then this team did draft DeAndre Baker with their third, you know, first-round pick, which I think they ended up trading with Seattle to get. And, yeah, they ended up taking DeAndre Baker. I mean, it's a good pick. You know, I'm not going to fault them for that. It actually is a good pick. But there's an argument to be made that there were better corners on the board. And plus, he was like the first corner taken. So now you have that pressure of, oh, you know, now I have to be the best corner from this class. And I don't know. I don't know if that's possible or not. And then they drafted Julian Love in the 4th round, I believe. That's a pretty solid pick. You know, he's projected to go a little bit earlier. So, yeah, it's definitely a good pick. And then you got Grant Haley from Penn State, who, you know, last year he showed flashes. He did get to play a little bit more, but not really starting caliber, in my opinion. Tony Lippett, you know, I say this every time we look at Tony Lippett, a former wide receiver converted to corner. You know, pretty solid and you know, at points, but I don't think he's starting caliber either. Corey Ballantyne, kind of a sad story right here. Him and his friend got shot the day after. They were having like a draft, like a post-draft celebration party for him getting drafted, and it just went south really quick. And he did report to training camp and, you know, all that, but still sad to see, you know, that happened. I mean, he just entered the league, and now that happens. And then Sam Beal, who they took in a supplemental draft. We'll see what he can do in year 2. And then these two guys I don't know much about. But, yeah, a pretty solid cornerback room. It's just all about who emerges, who takes the next step. At free safety, you have 55-year-old. I'm just kidding. He's 35, guys. Take it easy. Antoine Bethea, who, hey, he's here. And this team also has Sean Taylor and Fish Smithson. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that free safety room. And then this team did trade for Jabril Peppers. He was a part of the Odell Beckham trade, so for fun, you can kind of keep track of Jabril Peppers and Landon Collins, because that's who Jabril Peppers is filling in for. That's who he is the replacement for, Landon Collins, who, in my opinion, I think Landon Collins is overrated. You know, people look at him as a top safety, and I understand why. You know, he's really good at his job. But in my opinion, Jabril Peppers might play better for this team than Landon Collins did. Landon Collins, to me, just had one really good year where he had a bunch of interceptions. You know, he had some sacks. He was just a monster. And then after that, he just kind of took a slight step back, and then he hasn't really reached that form. Maybe in Washington he does, but, you know, in my opinion, I just think he's overrated. I value safeties that could do a little bit of everything. I don't just value the run-stopping safety. I value guys like who the Packers got. Think about the 2 contracts offered here. The Packers basically gave Adrian Amos less than $10 million a year. And this is a guy who can cover, can come down in the box, can play some nickel corner, can play some over-the-top free safety. He's going to be the strong safety for the Packers, but this is a guy who is very versatile. You look at Landon Collins, you're not asking him to play free safety. You're not asking him to play nickel corner because he's not that good of a coverage guy. He's more of a run-stopping, sub-linebacker, basically, who, no offense, but you could draft those and not have to pay 6 years, $84 million for guys like that. No offense, but I'm just saying, it's facts. You could draft people like that. Look at the Raiders. They drafted Jonathan Abram, who can basically, who has a similar skill set, except he's a more rangy guy in coverage. I'm not saying Jonathan Abram's better than Landon Collins already, but I'm saying you could draft those positions. You can draft players like that, easily, especially in this day and age. But anyway, I don't know how it turned into a Landon Collins rant, but yeah, Jabril Peppers, I think, is going to fill in nicely. You have Michael Thomas, no, not the wide receiver from the Saints, but you have Michael Thomas, more of a special teamer, a high-end special teamer, a damn near Pro Bowl caliber special teamer, and then you have Kenny Ladler, who I don't really know much about. And then at kicker, you have one of the, more underrated kickers in the league, Aldrick Rosas. I don't really know how a kicker can be underrated, but he's pretty accurate and he's pretty good. He just doesn't, ain't nobody talking about him like they talk about Justin Tucker and others. And then also you have Riley Dixon, who's, he's a punter, not too bad at what he does. But yeah, this is a very interesting team, a very interesting rebuild indeed. Of course, you have some looming storylines like the Daniel Jones situation. You also have life after Odell. And then, of course, trying to rebuild, fix, and find that next dude in this defense. It's definitely going to be a challenge. But if you like longer rebuilds, this is definitely the one for you to do. And it's obviously on here because I would consider it as well, to be honest. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and see you around for the next one.